Hello everyone, my name is Monster Review Girl and welcome to another canon monster profile review. Today we are going to be talking about the Banshee, our first undead type monster in this channel. The Banshee are succubus family members of the undead type. They inhabit cemeteries and human settlements. They tend to be rather gloomy but very devoted, and they consume the essence of human men, which is a euphemism I shouldn't have to explain to anybody who's watched this channel. Banshee are monsters of dark, melancholic beauty who wrap their deathly pale skin in black. They are feared as omens of death and are said to appear before people on the verge of death, weeping and wailing, but it's just that they have the ability to foresee the death and suffering of humans. What's more, it is in their nature to be drawn to those who give off an air of death. And if that person happens to be a human man, she will be attracted to him and develop powerful feelings of affection. Banshee are a race who serve Hel, the goddess of life and death, and the power of the goddess is imbued in their voice when they wail for those approaching death. Those who die while listening to a banshee's wailing have the agony of death mitigated by the goddess's blessing, and will end up rising as undead after death. In the age of the former demon lords, even though the banshees of yore had the power to foresee death and were terribly drawn to the dying, that's all there was to them. It is said that there was nothing they could do but mourn and grieve when their loved ones died right before their very eyes. It was only after the goddess Hel took pity on them and welcomed them as her underlings that they acquired their present abilities. In the modern faith of the goddess of life and death, Banshee are servants of the goddess who guide the living into undeath. This is one of the curses and blessings unbreakable by death that the goddess has brought to humanity. When the dead are reanimated by their power, just as in the case of necromancy, human women will easily resurrect as undead monsters, but resurrecting men requires the restoration and maintenance of the power to produce essence. So semi-permanent supply of mana will be required, namely, a monster to couple with the resurrected man as his partner and continue to provide him mana. That is when the other power imbued into a banshee's voice comes into play. Though melancholic, their wailing arouses desire in men soon after resurrection when their capacity for thought is faltering, directing his unsettled conscience at the banshee. As he rises as the undead, he will end up taking her as his bride. In other words, they offer themselves to their husbands to guide them into undeath and eternally comfort their souls. Furthermore, they are extremely easily moved to tears. Besides the death of a human, they weep over little things, and all those tears make their husbands love them even more. If their husband is sad, they will shed tears as if it were their own sadness, consoling their husbands in the way monster girls do. They shed tears, of course, when their beloved man rises as undead, but also whenever something makes them happy, such as when their husband whispers to them of love. Such tears also incite desire in their husbands, and that joy only causes them to cry out even more. And you see the cycle that forms here. Now, the Banshee is based off of an actual Celtic mythological creature, one of the plethora of spirits that roam the Celtic wildlands. And yes, the Banshee is a creature that appears before those who are about to die, weeping and wailing, but she can appear in many forms, and often can appear as a sort of portent. So, Banshee appear in many forms. There's one where they are a haggard, worn old woman. One where they are a beautiful young maiden, full of life and beauty. But typically there's one thing they all have in common. They are all described as being found by the river, washing the clothes of the dying, if their death is a bloody one. In fact, the name Banshee translates as woman of the fairy mounds. They appear They're generally depicted in gray or white hooded cloaks. Sometimes Banshee will attach to certain families. Those who have seen her describe long hair which they comb, similar to one where you would tear out your hair in anguish. Some do believe that they appear to only select families, namely the Irish families of the O'Neills, the O'Connors, the O'Briens, the O'Gradys, and the Kavanaghs, though this list can vary depending on who's telling the story, as any good Celtic story is wont to do. But yes, she herself, it's a lot of debate about whether she brings the death or whether she is just a silent witness. And I'm very glad Kenku Cross went with the silent witness option. It's less problematic. So yes, that is the Banshee. Apologies for the voice quality here. I am shaking off a throat and chest cold. Like if you've enjoyed this, subscribe for more. Please check us out on Patreon, Discord, wherever you want. Farewell!